Good evening and welcome everyone to the 23rd. Yeah, it must be the 23rd because it says episode 23. The 23rd Shanty Sessions lockdown broadcast from and on behalf of the Rogue Shanty Chorus. Please, won't you click share if that's all right. We'd really appreciate it if you do that. Just so if you do enjoy it, other people might be able to as well. Who are we? Well, the Rogue Shanty Chorus is an authentic fishing choir based in Lowestoft, which is the most easterly town in the UK and about as far east as you can go without getting your toes wet. And we celebrate the music of fishermen and seafaring communities singing sea shanties and maritime-themed songs as part of a wider creative arts project called the Unique Coastal Cultural and Musical Heritage of Waveney, which celebrates the associated heritage of the fishing industry in North Suffolk. So that's kind of what we're doing here, and we've I guess if we're on 23, that means we've done 22 previous broadcasts. And how these live streams, the Shanty Sessions, have kind of come about is that on the 17th of March, when the government announced that actually it wasn't really okay for people to conduct any non-essential contact, excuse me while I put my earphones on, we had to very sadly suspend rehearsals for our beloved choir, and in lieu of a normal physical rehearsal, we actually we did a bit of a broadcast or a virtual rehearsal with myself and Paul, who are the leaders of the Rogue Shanty Chorus, along with Andy, our percussionist and drummer, who keeps us all in time. And it was very, very popular. And so we decided that we'd actually make it a regular thing. We were thinking initially on a fortnightly basis, but following a lot of people saying that they enjoyed it, we made it a weekly thing. So anyway, that's what we're doing here. And although restrictions have kind of eased, we know that there are a lot of people who usually belong in our choir, members who can't, who don't necessarily feel particularly confident to mix again in public just yet, maybe through existing health conditions or the fact that they've previously been shielding. So we're continuing to do this, and I hope that we do continue to do it. Anyway, what have we got tonight for you? Sorry, I'm gabbling a bit because technology has let me down once again. Last week we couldn't even get a broadcast. I'm going to get closer to my mic. Is that better? Last week we couldn't even get a broadcast because suddenly out of nowhere, the village I live in stopped having Wi-Fi, and this week my Mac just decided to do an update and a restart about 10 minutes before, so it didn't look like it was going to happen. But anyway, we're here. Doesn't matter. Forget all that. So it's just me. No Paul tonight, but he did go to the trouble of preparing a couple of songs. He's videoed himself and he's done all the whiz bang stuff. So I'm going to play those in his absence. And we have got not one, but two special guests. Firstly, we've got our beloved Kevin. There he is, looking very storytellery and just a wee bit camp. I can say that because he's backstage and I know he'll laugh. And then we've also got a guy called Steve Tag Saint, who is the coxswain of Aldborough Lifeboat, and he'll be joining us later on just to talk about the work that he does, and also a couple of fascinating stories really that the Aldborough Lifeboat has kind of seen along the years. So anyway, be really good to know if you're watching and what you think, and if you've got any questions. I'm going to go to some comments straight away. The first one's from Carly Franklin. Boom, you won the first comment, Carly. Evening, Stephen and everyone. Hi, Carly. Thanks for that. Then we've got Janet Woods. Evening all. Yeah, to you too, Janet. Maggie Clark. Hello all. Kasia Masinkovska. She says hi there. Monica Manning. Hi, Stephen and everyone. Janice Marjoram. Evening all. Autumn's on the way. Janice, be quiet. Come on. None of that talk, please. And then Sally Hardman. She says, howdy, everyone. And then Monica Manning says, howdy, Sal. So anyway, look, enough of the comments. In particular, I'd be really interested to hear if everything's okay technologically wise. I'm not feeding back. I'm loud enough. There's no echo or anything? Just had some issues before we started. So I just want to make sure that they haven't kind of made their way into the gremlins of the computer. But as you know, if you're a regular tune-inner, we have this wonderful book called Suffolk Words and Phrases by Edward Moore. This is the physical copy, And it's a wonderful, wonderful book. And back in 1823, Edward Moore wrote this book because he came back from service in India to his beloved Suffolk, and he kind of felt that a lot of the words and phrases and colloquialisms and peculiarisms that were quaint to Suffolk and East Anglia, or originated there, were on their way out. And he was quite worried and perturbed and upset about that. So he decided to document them in this book. And it's considered to be one of the most important and preeminent pieces of etymological work. It's certainly referred to in a lot of universities for East Anglian colloquialism. And every week we pick at random a word out of the book that we don't think is in particular common usage, and we ask you to guess what it might be. And this week's word is broach. Broach. Yeah, so let us know what you think that might be. Give us some comments and let us know what you think it might be. Broach. I'm not gonna give you any sort of clues. You can't win anything. We ask you not to use Google, so it's a rubbish old competition, really. But thankfully, people still do take part. Anyway, look, I've talked a lot about us. I've talked a lot about the live streams, and I've talked a little bit about our shanty chorus. And it's a good reminder that some of our wonderful members now and again say, "Can you just let people know who we are?" And we do that. So look, this is a picture taken from our most recent show, which is a show called Shoddy Night In. Which is a bit of a local reference. Local fishermen used to call their huts or barns or sheds shods. That's a term that's peculiar to Lowestoft, and we recreated one of the annual smoker concerts that used to happen way back in the early 20th century. And this is a picture that was taken from that show, fully attended, house full, as it is on most of the shows that this chorus do. But if you sort of wonder, how is this different to a normal rehearsal? Well, it's different because we're missing our beloved chorus, and we hope that it's not going to be too long before we can restart physical rehearsals. We really do. But anyway, look, I'm gabbling a bit. I think I'm going to give you a song, and this song is maybe inspired by the weather that we've been having the last couple of days. Oh, look, I'm going to do a couple of comments quickly before I do this. Ben Southern, hello everyone. Hannah Guntrip, good evening everyone. Hello Hannah. I'm not sure if we've seen you before. If you're not a regular, then we wish you a very warm welcome. Cassia says, don't worry Stephen, the sound is perfect. Thank you, Cassia. That's very kind. Carly Frank says, hey Hannah, hope you're okay, glad you joined. Linda Boyce, hello Linda. She says, evening Stephen, and here we are again. Yeah, here we go again. And Sally Harmon, such good fun, that show. I really enjoyed it. Absolutely, yeah. In fact, all of the shows I personally really enjoy. Not always sure that the chorus members do until afterwards, but generally they do. And certainly, if nobody else enjoys them, the audience absolutely do, because we get some wonderful comments. And in fact, we were supposed to be doing a show this year in May. It was then delayed until we were hoping to put it on in August, and that became fairly clear quite soon that wouldn't be able to happen. We've currently postponed it until October, but that's almost certainly not likely to happen. We will make a decision on that soon. I know we've got almost a sold out audience who would like to know if we're moving it or cancelling it or whatever. We will make a decision very soon and let you know. Anyway, look, one more comment. Leon Lewis, hello from the Lewis family. Saw you at Shrewsbury, Great Yarmouth Maritime Festival last year. Oh, and currently sitting on our camper at Windsor on holiday. There's no Shrewsbury this year. Yeah, so many how sad that is. So many festivals cancelled because of the old coronavirus. And yeah, just not much more to say to that. Big warm welcome to you, Leon. It's just me. There's none of the boys here. Usually this is Paul and myself, but Paul's actually out doing a real live gig in front of real live people. So he has gone to the bother of recording a song or two, and I'm going to do you a song now. This is the version we know of this. It's number 10 for any of the chorus members who'd like to sing along. And as usual, we'll pop the lyrics on the screen and encourage you to do that. But the version we know was recorded in 1977 by Bob Roberts. We talk about him so much because he did an awful lot to document the songs of Suffolk and East Anglia, although not being a Suffolk boy himself. He was born in Dorset, but he kind of settled this way. He married a Suffolk girl and he lived in Pin Mill down in the Shotley Peninsula. Also, there's a wonderful version on YouTube, both by Stan Hugel and Harry Cox, and the third person, Sam Larner. So 4 very, very important people in terms of folk song, and in particular sea shanty archiving, and also local, with the exception of Stan Hugel, a Welshman, but really he was considered the sort of world authority on shanties. But we've got Bob Roberts, we've got Harry Cox, we've got Sam Larner, and actually all their versions of this don't really stray from each other too much. This is absolutely through and through an East Anglian fisherman song, rarely encountered elsewhere in the country, unless it's sung to somebody by an East Anglian fisherman. But anyway, as I say, it's been inspired. My choice of this has been inspired by today's weather, and if you know, if you're a chorus member, you don't even need to be told what the title is to know that it's Windy Old Weather, or Windy Old Weather, as they might say. Just actually, while I'm just starting up the program that shares the lyrics, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Kev, who's going to be coming on after this song. Kev or Kevin Barnard is a very important member to us of our chorus. He's kind of our unofficial resident storyteller, and he's an historian. Wonderful guy. But whenever we do a show, we know that Kevin's wonderful knowledge about local history, actually a non-local history, coupled with his absolute ability to pull the audience in and tell that story, take it off the paper and bring it alive for people and interest them. His kind of knack for picking out wonderful nuggets of information is something that's really important to us, and so we usually take huge advantage of that every time we do a show. And he normally puts in a story or several for us, and we really appreciate it. We started to bring guests into this stream, and we were actually several guests in before both Paul and I said, why don't we get Kevin? So we asked him if he'd join us, and he's done so on a couple of occasions now. This is his third time he's going to come with us, and he's got a brilliant story for you. I've heard it before, and you may or may not have, but it won't bother you if you have. You'll love to hear it again. But we've got two quite important things that we've also asked Kevin on about, and we're going to talk about those after the song. So anyway, let me share my screen. I was gabbling just to cover setting up the lyric share. And yeah, so this is the one. It's Windy Old Weather. I'll put some chords behind it. And we were a-fishing up Haysborough line, shooting and hauling and trawling all night in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When up jumped a heron, the queen of the sea said, now you old skipper, you cannot catch me in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When the wind blows, we all pull together. Then round comes a place that had spots on his side, says not much longer these seas you can ride in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When the wind blows, we all pull together. Then round comes a mackerel with stripes on his back, says, now me old skipper, you'll shift your main tack in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. Then up jumps a slipsole as strong as a horse, says, now me old skipper, you'll shift your main course in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When the wind blows, we all pull together. Then up rears a conger as long as a mile. Winds come in eastly, he said with a smile, in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When the wind blows, we all pull together. I think what these fishes were saying was right. We'll haul up our gear now and steer for the light in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When the wind blows, we all pull together in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we all pull together. When the wind blows, we all pull together. Okay, so windy old weather there. Our version based on versions that are on YouTube, or certain archives anyway, folk archives, by Sam Larner, Not So Different by Bob Roberts, Not So Different by Harry Cox, and the inestimable Stan Hugel. Anyway, so let's get rid of those lyrics. Stop those. So what was I going to say next? Yeah, I was going to announce 2 extra things really that we are the reason that we asked Kevin on. And it was not just because he tells a great story, and he has lots of them. And when I say story, I mean a factual account of something that actually happened along the East Coast. I don't mean he's a fibber, but so he's gonna take care of that. But it's two things that we're particularly excited about. Actually, one is that Kevin usually does on an annual basis a kind of a history walk or a scores tour, and the scores are another thing that are peculiar to Lowestoft. Some places have them, but Lowestoft in abundance have some scores, kind of based on the old Nordic word, I think. Maybe Kevin will correct me, for scour or cut, and basically a kind of an alleyway from the top part of the old high street down the cliff towards the beach. And there are many of them, actually, several, and a lot of them have some wonderful history, and Kevin knows a lot about it. And so we enjoy usually on an annual basis doing a scores tour. We were due to do one, I think it was in April, and we had to cancel it because of coronavirus. But Kevin has very gladly for us, Kevin has agreed to do another one. Couple of important things we must say about this. You're very welcome to come along, whether you are a member or not, but we are going to give priority to members first. The other thing is, because of social distancing and being able to do this safely, we're going to have to restrict the numbers to just 15 people. Okay, which probably means I expect we will sell out. Okay, if we do, we can always kind of request and twist Kev's arm to do another one. But when are we doing it? We're doing it on Wednesday, the 9th of September, 7 p.m. arrival for a 7:15 p.m. start, roughly. And as we often do, we're going to meet at the old town hall in Lowestoft, which is in the old high street. There is right now an event that's been published on Facebook. So if you're watching us on Facebook, you can catch it there. And it's £5 to come along. And we're basically going to say the first 15 people to message the page saying, I want to come. Okay. You can have a maximum of 2 tickets for yourself and a spouse, so that none make their way onto the black market. Okay. But that's it. Wednesday, the 9th of September, 7 p.m. at the old town hall, Lowestoft. Kevin's scores tour, socially distanced, and a maximum of 15 people. So if you'd like to go, don't comment, don't ring me, don't email, just message the page, email the page. Don't send an email to our voice cloud address. Okay. So that's that. And then the other thing which we're particularly excited about is that Kevin is quite a prolific poet, and writes some wonderful, very sentimental, very kind of maritime themed poetry. And for a long time, we've been trying to work with Kevin to turn one of his poems into a song. We've finally done it, and we're going to premiere it tonight. And we're going to put it into the Rogue Shanty Chorus repertoire. So I think that's a pretty good point to get Kev in the stream. I would unmute him, but it says I can't because they muted themselves. So you might, there you go. He knows what he's doing. So look, I'm going to bring Kev in. There you go, Kev.
Good evening, Stephen.
How are you? All right?
I'm very well. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you perfectly. Yeah, thank you very much.
Excellent.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm very well, very excited. I've really looked forward to this evening. And over the course of lockdown, certainly these streams and these episodes have been very inspiring. I've not been able to join each one, but in the period of 4 months that we've been, or you guys have been doing it, yeah, I've felt inspired to write poems, look into doing a bit more research, and then I've come up with, as I say, 13, an album's worth potentially. But I've sent you a couple, and I'm just, when you said, oh, this one, yeah, we've put some music to it straight away. Yeah, it's put a smile on my face the last 2 weeks, and I've really enjoyed just listening to the track. It's been great.
Oh, good.
And
Well, good.
yeah, just to say about you're completely right. School's unique to Lowestoft. There's one or two Beccles Courton, but yeah, it's an Old Norse word. Some say Saxon word for scour or cut into a cliff that gently runs down to a beach, of which Lowestoft used to have 13.
Lovely. And so what just for anyone who may not have made one of your scores tours before, what could we expect to kind of find out about or explore or look at or watch?
Depends which direction we go and what company we get. There's enough stories that will mainly probably be history, certainly ghost stories I like to throw in, and obviously some ghost stories were invented to cover smuggling activities, of which we'll talk about at certain locations, and some historic tragic events. Obviously, you've been covering that with Ivan, who's been prolific about the Lowestoft witches, but again, actually walking part of the trail and where sadly Amy is sort of dragged down from the stones by locals, just can bring that to life. And yeah, it's a very poignant story, about the use of witchcraft to keep women down, certainly in those Middle Ages, and that anyone was fair game, sadly.
Yeah, lovely. So, so there you heard it, folks. So just a reminder, that's Wednesday, the 9th of September, 7 p.m. for 7:15 start. £5 per person and a maximum of 15 spaces. We are going to have to be really strict on that because we want to make sure that everyone can socially distance and still hear Kevin. So message the Rogue Shanty Chorus page if you would like to. We haven't set up payment in advance. We're going to ask you to bring cash on the night and then we'll disinfect it. But just message
We'll put it in a bag.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Message the page if you'd like to come along.
Yeah, we might also just have to keep an eye on the weather because you just never know. With the Great British weather, it can be a very balmy evening. It'll be getting dark in the right places, certainly from the beginning of September. But as you've seen today, it can be, well, I wouldn't want to subject people to over 2 hours of stormy weather in the literal sense, even though it might give a great atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so what have you got a story for us this evening? Sort of wet our whistle, then, Kev.
Yes, I have, and the one I was going to talk about has a very nice link in with ghostly theme, but also one to do with love lost and a very famous ghostly image that has been seen, but not over the last sort of 50 years. And I'll tell you a little bit more about possibly the reasons why. And that's the story about Crazy Mary, who was the white figure of a woman that was seen often walking along from Patefield Church to what is now the holiday camp at Pontins, where there was a lighthouse. And it was known as Crazy Mary's Hole, but in the past it was known as also Crazy Mary's Gorge, which sadly over the last 5 years even, there's been a lot of cliff erosion. And so actually the access, the walkway, the path which you used to follow has fallen into the sea. And actually a lot of the gorge has been swept away. But there's still remnants of it. And the story, certainly there are different versions at different time frames. In the 1790s or the early 1800s is about a very beautiful young lady who lived near Patefield Church, the Oddfellows Arms, often courted by the local gentry, but would never give her heart away until she met a young fisherman called John. They had an instant romance. She would often bring down flowers as he'd go off on his boat fishing, as he would have his little boat moored up in the Patefields harbour and then push off from the shingle beach. They fell in love, head over heels, married. But sadly, shortly after their marriage in Patefield Church, after about 2 or 3 years together, his boat never returned. It was a very stormy evening. But for the 2 years previous before he never returned, she would often walk along with a lantern along the top of the Patefield cliff. And he would often, with his boat coming in the dark, certainly of an autumnal evening, would flash his light. Now, some people would say, "Oh, is that a smuggling tale?" But actually, he would give 2 flashes, and then the boat would arrive, and she would meet him down on the shingle beach as the boat would be sort of hauled up. But this, sadly, one night shortly after they got married, the boat was caught in a very large storm, the squall that got caught up in Patefield, and he never returned. But Mary, tragically, was carrying his child, but in the stress or distress of the situation, lost that child, and continued and vowed that obviously his body had never been washed up, that he was still somewhere out there. And sadly, for the next 2 years, it was said, wandered most evenings along the top of the cliff with her lantern, looking out for any boat that would then give her a signal, some sort of hope. So again, it was that very strong love interest. But sadly, Mary, having lost her child, and probably what now would have been diagnosed with postnatal depression and stress and that great heartbreak, went insane. And by the second year, she would often wander the cliffs, as she was a very beautiful lady in a white dress and bonnet, but sadly, in the latter part of her torment, often just wandered of an evening in her nightgown or nightdress with her lantern. And it was then said by many a local that, as I say, just up past the Pontins holiday camp, just where the lighthouse is the beginning of what was the gorge. Her body was found at the base of the cliff, and she was clutching a last love letter from her beloved John. Some say she lost her footing, others say that she just couldn't stomach the pain, or her grief had got the better of her and she'd thrown herself down into the gorge, and it became known as Crazy Mary's Hole, which is quite a sad name, but one that again probably has been played up and down many of England's wild coastlines where loved ones have not returned. And again, that's the reason why Lowestoft Fishermen's and Widows Society was set up, with the amount of tragedies and people lost in Lowestoft and Patefield alike would disappear whilst fishing, and their families and children would then face starvation, or potentially an even worse fate, of which we will talk about on the Ghost Tour, faced by some of the ladies who were left, that they would end up potentially being put in the House of Industry or the workhouse in Alton. And yes, it was a very sad indictment, really, of how we would treat tragedy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think might have even been in Shoddy Night, or possibly the show before, we actually covered a little bit about the plight of the wives, or maybe not even the wives, but the partners of fishermen who were drowned, not found, because they weren't looked after, and there were a couple of ministers, actually local ministers, who lobbied government to look after, to set up some kind of initiative to look after them, ultimately, which was unsuccessful. And it meant that a lot of fishermen going into the trade on a full-time basis meant that they would get married, as just as a way to give their wives some protection, if nothing else, should they go overboard.
Yeah, and it links in with another great story that I was talking about actually in one of our shows, which was about that of the Stoneclackers. And the Stoneclackers is a name that as a terminology for people who were desperately starving. So if the fishing had been bad, some of the fishermen would also find themselves stone clacking, and that was a group of people that would go down onto the beach and look for flints, and they would break the stones up, break the flints up, and be paid by the bucket load. But if you didn't fill the bucket load or you were too slow, your bucket would be tipped out and you would be
Wow.
basically sent home. Your family would be starving if they hadn't eaten for a week or two. That was it. So you'd be alongside tramps, vagabonds, and all sorts of people desperate to try and just earn some pennies to put food on the table.
Wow. Well, look, there's a couple of comments here, Kev. First one from Carly. She says, "Hi, Kevin."
Hi,
Sally
Carly.
Hardman says, "Hello, lovely Kev." So she's done one better than Carly.
Hi, Sally.
Ben Southern. "Hi, Kev. Lovely to see you."
It'd be great to see everybody. That's the one thing I do miss.
Yeah.
Hi, Rosemary.
And then Kevin, Rosemary says, "Hi, Kevin. Great to see you again." Then she put an anchor. I guess that's what she means. But anyway, she's put that on. And then Sally says, "Fantastic and original song for the chorus. Brilliant." So I guess since Sally's mentioned it, so Call of the Sea, do you want to talk a bit about what it's about, or and then I'll go into it, I think.
I just, as I said, I've been inspired. I've been doing some bits of research, as I always do. I love looking at old newspapers because they're just so rich with stories that have been lost or forgotten, and then when we talk about it and we sing, there is something that just lifts the spirit about a good shanty. So, yeah, reading some of the books early on in lockdown, in certainly April, May, I came up with some ideas. Call of the Sea was one about a young person just wanting to go to sea and hopefully seeing the world by 20. And that sort of thought, oh, right, okay, that's a rhyme that could maybe fly. And what could we do? And I know I've talked to you, Stephen, about a couple of other ideas I've had about the Stone Clackers potentially as a song about people desperate trying to break stones to build a road. And then when we had this deep sea fisherman's mission chat on about the history of those, looking into that, and just come up with different things. I thought that would be a good hymn. This would possibly be a great shanty. This could be a work song, and just throwing them down, and the ideas just gone all over the place, and I just really enjoyed it. So, yeah, nothing's made me more proud than when you've come back and said, "Oh, one of the first three, yes, we've put some music to it."
Yeah. Well, do you know what? I feel a folk opera coming on, Kevin.
I think there's a great story in Lowestoft. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So this is for anyone who is a chorus member. Anyone else who isn't, please just enjoy it. But for anyone who is, this is actually now within our repertoire. It's number 64. I'll share it on screen so you can start to get to know it. It's very catchy, so it's quite accessible. Very happy to email out the lyrics as well as an updated repertoire, because we have added a few songs on gradually over lockdown and through these sessions. But the serious sort of legal point, I guess, is that this is our copyright intention. So this is our way of sharing it with the world, and it's kind of date marked. So if anyone out there thinks, "Oh, I'm gonna release that song, get to number one, and steal it, plagiarize it," you can't, because we're sharing it right now. Anyway, so this is Call of the Sea, written by Kevin and with a bit of music from Paul and I. And let's pop the lyrics up. Yeah, there we are. So let's stick them on a scroll. Pop a bit of echo on, and we're off. Since I was a nipper and fed upon a kipper, I've always wished to go to sea. There was nothing on land for what I had planned, but the sea could set me free. Could set me free, set me free. I've always wished to go to sea. Watching boats set sail, hearing every mariner's tale, I dreamt of adventure with glee. So at the age of 13, I sailed for country and queen, voyaging for by royal decree, by royal decree, by royal decree. I dreamt of adventure with glee. With adventures aplenty, I had seen the world by 20, causing landlubbers jealousy. I was not caught with a girl in every port, never brought down upon one knee. Upon one knee, never on one knee, causing landlubbers jealousy. Now where'er I roam, I can call it my home, but I know it's only temporary. As my mistress, the ocean, has provoked every emotion, she will always be the one for me. The one for me, she's the one for me, but I know it's only temporary. Well, since I was a nipper and fed upon a kipper, I've always wished to go to sea. Nothing on land for what I had planned, but the sea could set me free. Could set me free, oh, set me free. I've always wished to go to sea. The one for me, she's the one for me, but I know it's only temporary. Yeah, I know it's only temporary. Yeah, I know it's only temporary. A little, maybe a slight variation there. Just Paul put the melody together. I put some chords in the background, and I've learnt it. I've kind of learnt it to his version, just because he was going to sing it, and obviously he's not with us. So there you go. Call of the Sea. Would love to know what you think of that. Already, look, people are saying, Carly, sounds really nice. Can't wait till we can all sing it together. Lovely new song, very catchy. That's Marianne Boucher over in Canada, Kev. Then we've got Linda Boyce, lovely. Rosemary, brilliant. Maggie Clark, 3 claps. Ben Southern, 3 claps and a woohoo. So they lovely. So if you are a member, it's 64. If you're not a member, it's still 64, but just not so relevant to you. So that's it. If you'd like a copy of that, anyone, let us know. We can send a copy out on email, no problem at all. And all that Sally's come in, brilliant, humming a harmony already. Well, we were hoping you would and expecting you would, Sally. So yeah, there you go. Call of the Sea. And by the way, we've actually already had several people message the page saying that they would like to come along on Kev's Ghost Tour. So just a reminder of the details of that. The event has been published on Facebook. We set it to publish at, I think, 7:45. So while we were live on air, it's Wednesday, the 9th of September, 7 p.m. for 7:15 start at the Old Town Hall, Lowestoft. Postcode and everything is in the event, or we can send you that. It's £5 per person with a maximum of 15 spaces. Currently, we're going to say that members get priority booking, and we suspect that actually existing members will probably use up all those 15 spaces, but you can only book 2 spaces for yourself and a partner. Okay. Once we sell out, which I'm sure we will, maybe we'll arrange for another one. But we did want to do this and kind of not let summer go by without being able to have some kind of physical meeting. We will be doing it all responsibly with social distancing. We're making sure that everyone is kept safe. I guess the other thing to say is if you've kind of got any kind of symptoms of anything that's COVID related, then we'd definitely ask you to stay away, just to make sure that everyone is kept safe and well. But so if you're interested in that, you'd like to find out some more information, visit our Facebook page, or if you just know that you're available and you want to come along, message the page. Don't text, don't comment on here, just message the page and say, yes, please, 1 ticket, 2 tickets, okay, or whatever you want. So Kevin, I want to say thank you very, very much. Not so much for writing the poetry, because we love your poetry, and we've read some out as poems on their own, but just for kicking us up the bum and saying, can you get on and do this, because we do need that sometimes, and it's resulted in this wonderful poem just kind of lifting a bit more. And I think the next stage will be when we all sing it together. That'll be a lovely moment. So we'll absolutely look forward to that. But thanks for coming on, talking to us about Crazy Mary and educating us as you always do. And let's just do a couple more comments before you go. Leon Lewis, really nice. The girls were singing along. Good, Leon, not yourself. And Sue Day says, what a great collaboration to make the Call of the Sea. Loved it. Yeah, me too. Sue, good words.
It's kept me smiling all the way through the last 2 weeks. It's great. It's been uplifting. I will just say about on the ghost tour, make sure you wear sensible shoes, keep wrapped up. Obviously, if there are 8 couples, we could stretch to 16, but obviously I've just got to try and think about some of the passageways are narrow, so we've got to be careful and obviously bring your face mask along. You won't have to wear them necessarily all the time because we're going to be outside, but we just need to be sensible and make sure that we're all safe. But yeah, I look forward to it. It'd be great.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Kevin, and thanks for agreeing to do another one, because I know people always asking, oh, we're supposed to do this in April. Can we do it? Let us know. Make sure I don't miss the announcement. So I know people will be really looking forward to it. One more comment from Janice. She's just crept in there. Thanks, Kevin, with another anchor.
Take care, Janice.
Anyway, Kev, thank you so much, mate. And we'll see you soon, at least on the 9th.
Yes, definitely. I'll be in my glad rags and my top hat and tails.
Oh, in his finery, gents and ladies. So that's definitely worth coming along for. Brilliant. Thanks, Kev. See you later.
Take care, Stephen. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye. Look after yourselves.
Bye. So that was Kev. If you all remember, you know him very well, I'm sure, Kev Barnard. If you're not, you may have seen him a couple of times on here, but wonderful guy, and was actually part of a family that came along to our shanty chorus in the early days when we first started. And he was a member of 4 generations that were all singing together about the history of Lowestoft. And it was Kev's research and interest in local history and not so local history has really been a wonderful thing for us to be able to share with other people. And we really appreciate him for it. And his not just his research, but his storytelling ability. And we certainly take advantage of that in most of the shows that we do. And so yeah, on the 9th of September, Kevin will be doing one of his very popular scores tours. So if you'd like to come along, message the page. Don't message anything else. Don't comment, don't text, don't ring, just message the page. But thanks to Kev for coming on. I'm going to share now a song that Paul prepared. He can't be with us tonight because he's actually doing a gig in front of real live people. Those things are starting to happen gradually. But he did record a couple of songs, and I'm going to play the first one now. There's quite an interesting story to this, because several sessions ago, I did a Gordon Lightfoot song in the early morning rain, and I'm a big Gordon Lightfoot fan, and we did it really for a couple of people who are watching from Canada, just to say thank you for tuning in. But Paul said, "Oh, do you know this song?" And it's a song called "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald." So it's obviously of a maritime nature, but very interestingly, I was on a Zoom session with Barry, one of our members, and Barry said, "Have you heard of the song "The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald" by Gordon Lightfoot?" And I said, "Well, I have, Barry. I know it well." And he said, "That would be a good one for our shanty choir to do, or you to do in the live stream." And I said, "Well, funny you should mention that." And at that point, Paul had recorded it already. So I was going to play it last week, but obviously we didn't get to do one last week because of technology. But anyway, let me first off bring up the introduction, because he's not just recorded a song, but he's recorded a spoken introduction too. And then all being well, I can share it. So share screen. Let's look for it. Here we go. So there he is. This is not him live. This is obviously it's a different time of day, but this is it.
So, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. This is a song I'd like to play by Gordon Lightfoot, a Canadian singer-songwriter, and he personally considers this his best work, so I'm going to try not to ruin it too badly. It was a hit song for him, and it's based on the tragic tale of the SS Edmund Fitzgerald. Now, that was a bulk carrier, a freighter that sank in a storm on Lake Superior. This was the 10th of November 1975. The unfortunate loss of the entire crew of 29 hands. She was the largest ship when launched on the 7th of June in 1958 in North America's Great Lakes, and she's the largest to have ever sunk there. And as I say, a very sad tale, but particularly put well into song by Gordon Lightfoot. Thank you. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
So let me just share this one, which is the actual song. And it's all technology. When it works, it's okay.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Kitchikumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up a dead when the skies of November came early. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and a captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple of steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. And later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they was feeling? The wind in the wires made a tattletale sound, and a wave break over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. The dawn came late and breakfast had to wait when the gales of November came slashing. When afternoon came, it was freezing rain in the face of a hurricane west wind. When supper time came, the old cook came on saying, "Fellas, it's just too rough to feed ya." At 7 p.m. a main hatchway caved in, and he said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya." The captain whined in, there was water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night, when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish Bay if they put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up, or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and names of the sons and the wives and the daughters. Lake Huron rolls, Superior sings in the rooms of her Icewater mansion. Old Michigan steams like a young man's dreams. The islands and bays are for sportsmen. And farther below, Lake Ontario takes in what Lake Erie can send her. And the iron boats go, as the mariners all know, with the gales of November remembered. In a musty old hall in Detroit they played, in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down of the big lake they call Kitchikumi. The Chippewa, they said, never gives up her dead when the gales of November came early.
Looks like he's finished there. Yeah, he has. I thought he might give us a more of an obvious finish. No problem. Well, there you go. Look, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot and also by Paul. So a couple of comments on that. Ooh, Edmund Fitzgerald, absolutely. And then Cassia, I love this song and I love Gordon in general, and now I love you as well. There you go. I'll make sure Paul sees that, Cassia, because he will really appreciate that. And actually, I don't know if anybody noticed, but Gordon has been performing through lockdown. He's done a couple of online shows, I believe, so which I haven't caught yet, but I fully intend to. So he's still around, he's still kicking about and doing his stuff. one more from Marianne, because she's obviously our Canadian expert, and we'll call her the Gordon expert as well. I remember when this was a big hit in Canada in 1976. Radio played it constantly. I think most Canadians could probably sing it word for word. Absolutely, yeah, I bet. Well, thank you, and thanks for your comments and general support, Marianne. Really appreciate that. But that was the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and we're going to call it a request from Barry, one of our longer serving members in the choir, because I was doing an online Zoom with him, and he said, do you know that song? Yeah, we do, Barry. Yeah. Well, that would be good for the chorus to do, don't you think? And by chance, Paul had recorded it, I think, just a couple of days ago. So it was fortuitous that he asked for it. And anyway, yeah. So thank you, Paul. This is our Suffolk Words and Phrases word of the week, broach. Broach. I assume that's how you say it. I am taking some guesses because it obviously is just it's just on paper, so we don't know. But the word is broach, and we've taken it from Suffolk Words and Phrases by Edward Moore. Every week we ask you to take a guess and see what you think the word might be. But this is really a wonderful book. This is our version here. And old Edward Moore, when he returned from service in India back in 1823, he was slightly upset and perturbed by how many local Suffolk words and phrases and colloquialisms and peculiarisms seemed to be no longer in usage after his 9 years serving abroad. And so he decided to put this book together. And even in 1823, when it was first published, he admitted that many of these words were extremely old, and he put them into a book because he wanted to make sure that they had some further longevity. And he certainly did, because maybe it's in no small part thanks to Edward Moore, but many of the words in this book we know, and I hear local people using them, and even my generation use them as well. But deliberately, we pick a word once a week and ask you to guess what it means. And we deliberately pick a word that is not in common usage. And this week's word is broach. Broach. So let us know what you think it might mean. It's a rubbish competition because you don't win anything, and we ask you not to cheat. But I don't think anyone's actually commented yet to say what they do think. Usually, the few people in Canada, Marianne included, are quite interested in our Suffolk words and phrases, so they like to have a bit of a guess. But anyway, let us know what you think. I'm going to do one more song, but I just want to remind you that coming up, we've got, I'm going to share a very posh picture. This is Steve Tag Saint. I can see him in the sort of backstage area. He just laughed at that. Looking mean and broody there. We're going to ask him what this was all about, because that's pretty cool to be front page of the Independent. And Steve is, or Tag, we'll ask him what the name's about as well. But we know Steve and James actually as well from Aldborough RNLI, because Paul and I did a show there, and we'll talk to him a little bit about the reason we did that show, and also kind of his work and what's involved in being the coxswain and a member of the Aldborough RNLI. And also a wonderful story about the Aldborough Acorns that he's going to share with us, and maybe some other bits and pieces. But very shortly, we're going to get Steve on. And I want to share first another song called Sally Brown. It's not the old Bad Manners song. This is a shanty through and through. I'm just going to bring up the lyrics so you can sing along with them at home if you want to. If you are a member of the chorus, it's number 62. If you're not, the numbers won't mean a thing to you, and they don't need to. We'll just bring the lyrics up on the screen. Grab your old guitar. Yeah, see, I'm doing all this on my own, see, because Paul is usually with me to sort of, play a little part, and he's not. He's off gallivanting this week. So anyway, Sally Brown. Let's bring the words up. Fairly new one to our repertoire, but it's a great song, and. No, we don't want it full screen. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, we'll put it there. Sally Brown, she's a nice young lady. Where we roll and go, and we rolled all night, and we rolled all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Sally Brown, she's a little cracker. Where we roll and go. Well, she drinks dark rum and she chews tobacco. Way we roll and go, and we rolled all night and we rolled all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Well, her father likes a tarry sail away. We roll and go, and we rolled all night and we rolled all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Oh, Sally Brown, she likes a good scrumpy way. We roll and go, she likes a bit of rumpy pumpy way. We roll and go, and we rolled all night, rolled all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Oh, Sally Brown, she's a nice young lady. Way we roll and go. Yes, Sally Brown, she's a fine young lady. Way we roll and go, and we rolled all night and we rolled all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown, and we rolled all night and we rolled all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Yeah, Sally Brown there, and fairly new one to our repertoire. Great song, and it's been on the request list for quite a little while, actually. In no small part due to the fact that we put in a song prior to this, a new song called "Bully in the Alley," which references Sally, and it's thought that actually this young lady of ill repute, who was made an honest lady of. Was a recurring theme in many of the shanties, in particular, maybe a very infamous prostitute. Anyway, we don't talk about stuff like that. It's not particularly savoury, is it? I'm going to do a couple of comments, then I'm going to bring in Steve. Yeah, there we've got, look. So Sude says, guessing brooch as brawn strength. Yeah, good guess, Sue. Don't know if it's right, but Carly Franklin says, love this song. Marion Boucher in Canada, 3 claps. And then Jackie says, thanks for singing Edmund Fitzgerald, Paul. Hope we do it in a show, from Barry. Yeah, well, it's a great song, Barry, and I hope we do as well. We'll ask Paul to make sure he puts it on his list. Anyway, look, I'm going to bring in, we've got Steve Tag Saint in the, we call it the virtual dressing room or waiting room. We asked him on because we know Steve from a couple of years ago. The Rogue Shanty Boys did a concert in Aldborough, which was to commemorate the anniversary of the Aldborough lifeboat disaster of 1899, which I'm sure Steve can talk about way more informed and reliably than me. And it was a lovely concert, and it was really I guess we weren't quite ready to realize how much of a tragedy it had been for the community, and how even the ripples were felt to this day. And actually some of the lifeboatmen back in that time in 1899 were related to particularly James Cable, and James Cable, his descendant, were related to people who still serve on the lifeboat. And Stephen and James were very gracious in allowing us to go in and look through the station and read some of the notebooks and diaries from the time, and that helped us to put together a more authentic show as a result. So we've kind of loosely kept in touch with James as a result of that, and we asked Steve if he'd come on and talk about his role as coxswain of Aldborough RNLI. So I'm going to bring him on. And hello, Steve. Are you all right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm really well. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, really excited. It's lovely. Thank you for having me on. It's really, really special. Thank you.
Not at all. It's our pleasure completely. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
So I think there's a lot we wanted to talk about, actually. And I don't know. I mean, I guess, well, the first thing is this picture here. I mean, blimey, what happened there?
Well, that's a very, very good friend of mine, Jack Lowe, who's doing a project, the Lifeboat Station project. He's going around all the 238 stations around the country, and he's taking pictures on a wet plate collodion camera. So it's about 170 years old. So it's on glass plate. Back in the day.
Wow.
and he's doing a shot of the coxswain or the helmsman from every station, and a shot from the station and a shot of the crew. And yeah, we had quite an emotional time together, me and Jack, really. When we met, he thought that when he done my portrait that it would be my eyes that captured it, and it did. And I was blown away with it. He was blown away with it. And it even went to the National Portrait Gallery
Wow.
for the finals. So, but the story got around of the story that Jack was doing, the project around the stations. And yeah, so I hold the accolade of being the last person to have their portrait on the on Independence Day on the Independent magazine. That's my mugshot. So
Wow.
yeah,
Brilliant.
It's quite special. Special to myself and my partner, and yeah, and to Jack as well. He uses it quite a lot in talks and things. So yeah, it's
lovely.
good.
So I forgot to say, actually, just before we started, for anyone watching, if ever you thought, I wonder what I would ever ask a serving RNLI coxswain or member at all, now's your opportunity. So let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please do.
Steve. So how about the nickname, Steve? Tag. How did that come about?
Oh, I can't tell you that one. That's for me and you over a pint. That's
okay. Fair enough.
That's for me and you over a pint.
Okay, no.
Very embarrassing. I have to blame my father for that one. God rest his soul. Yeah, we'll do that one personally.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I get what you're saying totally. So, what? I mean, I guess it'd be lovely to talk generally about what you do and what's actually involved. We can guess, obviously, but I'm sure there's some things that we wouldn't know that would be involved in being a coxswain and a member of RNLI. But I guess I'm particularly interested in, has lockdown been a quiet time on the water, or have you still been out, either on drills or actual rescues?
So no, it's been for the first sort of 3 months, it's been quiet. Obviously, everything was locked down, nobody was going anywhere. And then when dear old Boris said you can drive where you like and encompass water sports in all fitness, then yeah, it's gone a bit mad. So now it's getting really, really busy. So coastal towns all around the country are, we're stacked. Nobody's going anywhere on holiday, so they're all coming here. So yeah, it has been quiet, but now it's getting really, really busy. It's going to be a long summer.
Yeah, and how many crew do you have on, or crew do you have to call upon at Aldborough? So
there's 2 of us full time. So myself and James Cable, as you mentioned earlier, the famous name, my mechanic. We're both full time, and then we have about 20 volunteer crews, so seagoing crew, and then about the same in shore crew who help us get the boat in and out of the water and prepare for when we come home. And then when you go down to the fundraisers and the shop helpers, we have a management team. They're all volunteers. So I've got somewhere in the region of well in excess of 50 people just at my one station. So yeah, times that by 238. That's a lot of volunteers. Yeah.
So you wouldn't even assume that there were 50 people living full time in Aldborough, would you? With the second home.
Oh, don't go to that. Don't draw me into the second home thing.
Okay, all right. No, we'll just gloss over. But you've also, I forget the name of your dog. Is it Barney? George, but also he's a kind of honorary crew member, isn't he?
He is. He's on his bed behind me. You might see. Where's George? You there, George? There we are. There's George.
Oh, bless him. Bless him.
Yeah, he's always by my side.
And so we the kind of the the reason we got to meet you and James, and you were very kind actually in letting us kind of come into the station and look through some historical documents and some press clippings from way back when, actually, specifically the 1899 disaster. But I wonder if you'd just kind of talk a bit about the disaster. And I was fascinated in the Acorn story, and I know that that's actually something that a lot of people are. So it might be one that you're tired talking about, but I wonder if you'd share that story too.
No, never get tired of that. I mean, it's part of our history. It's part of the Aldborough station. And when you go around the coast, there's always a lovely story that bonds everyone together. And this is ours. So 1899, 7th of December. The call came in for the boat to be launched, and obviously back in the day, the boats were rowed and sailed. I moan sometimes now, and I've got 700 horsepower. I've got a wheelhouse where I can shut the door, and I can put the boiler on, and I can have a cup of coffee. So very, very different times. The call came in. Very, very bad day. Onshore breeze, probably force 9, force 10. So 70, 80 mile an hour winds. The boat was launched. Unfortunately, as it went over the shoal, it capsized, and 7 of the crew of 18 sadly drowned. 6 at the time, and 1 a few months later from his injuries. It's been a long, it's part of our history, part of our makeup. Something we'll never forget. We always think about it every year. It's very important to us, and it is one of the, through the RNLI's history since 1824. It's one of the worst tragedies that the RNLI has had. So it's very poignant for us.
Yeah, I bet. And so how about the Acorns then? What's the tradition of the Acorns? Because you carry those for...
Since then. So on that day, on the fateful day, one of the survivors, one of the crew members who survived, was a man called Augustus Mann. And he had 3 wooden acorns, which he kept about himself for a keepsake. And he was a survivor. And so from that day, those acorns, and we have the very same ones to the day, have been kept on every lifeboat since then till present day. So they're kept in a wooden case, which the wooden case is made from oak from the Moot Hall in Aldborough. They're kept with us every day. So the acorns are very special to us. We jump forward to 1999. We had a centenary, I wouldn't say celebration, but centenary do. We went to see Leighton Reeves, and then we had a big church service on the Sunday. And on the Saturday evening, unbeknown to us, a lady in the town who remains anonymous had a silver mould made in Hatton Garden, and had about 20 silver acorns made, which I have one here on me, and then had the mould destroyed. So that those of us who are lucky enough to have one of the silver acorns still have them, and they stay by our side. So it's a special thing for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And am I right in saying that when your boat goes in for service and you get the reserve boat, you take the plaque off and put it in the reserve?
Yeah. The RNLI don't like me very much, because on all the release boats, on the back of the boat, there's 4 holes, and that's always because Aldborough has had that relief boat, because the first thing that comes off when the relief boat comes on shore here, the first thing off is the acorns. They go onto the relief boat, and then stay on that, and then I put all the rest of the gear over. So every time, without fail.
How brilliant, lovely. And there was actually a poem written about the disaster, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. So it was 7th December last year. Was 120 years, so we marked that again with a launch and a church service, and so again quite poignant for us. And I discovered something that I hadn't seen before, looking through the inquest and what happened and why the boat was launched, and actually, sadly, we find that there wasn't actually a call to go to, so it was all actually in vain. Which is quite sad. But there's quite a poignant poem that has come from that.
And would you be willing to read it for us, Steve?
Certainly would.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
I'm going to pop a light on.
Yeah, cool. Do. So just if you've just tuned in, joining us live is Steve Tag Saint, who's a coxswain of Aldborough RNLI, and he's talking about the Aldborough lifeboat disaster of 1899. Just about to share with us a poem. So I'm going to just full screen you, Stephen, and
full screen. Wow.
Full screen. Yeah, we've got all this technology.
Okay. So this is the poem that came from the memory of the 7 brave fellows who perished through the capsizing of the lifeboat on December the 7th, 1899. As we read of the gallant actions far away midst the battle scene, our hearts swell with pride of the heroes who bravely serve country and queen. They fight for the cause of justice. From duty they ne'er turn back. Fearless they face the cannon's roar and die neath the Union's jack. But the news that comes from Aldborough a different tale doth tell. It proves that our soldiers are not alone. We've heroes at home as well. Come listen then to the story of heroes so true and so brave, who died at the post of duty when out on the storm-tossed wave. A terrible gale had been blowing, like mountains the billows did run, when over the seething waters comes the sound of the signal gun. The lifeboat crew were soon ready, hasty kiss to each wife and child, don the belts and then rush off to duty for a fight with those waters so wild. Along the shore the whole town stood watching as the gallant crew breasted the wave, going out on an errand of mercy, some mariners shipwrecked to save. See the inner shoal she is crossing. Oh horror, God help them, we pray. A terrible sea has struck her. Turned midst the breakers she lay. Now we all know the crew were good swimmers, panting now midst the foam and the roar. Willing hands were stretched out to assist them, one by one as they struggled ashore. And at last, when the roll was called, there were 6 of that noble crew could not answer the call. They were missing. In a moment, their sad case we knew. Alas, they were under the lifeboat. Not a chance had they to get clear. Held under the cruel waters, entangled, perhaps in the gear. 6 of the noblest and bravest as ever did handle the oar. Their spirits are safe now in harbour. They've landed on Canaan's bright shore. The boat midst the breakers was driven, still overturned, a pitiful wreck. We worked hard to cut through the timbers, but could not get right through the deck. So we shovelled away at the shingle, neath her side till we burrowed away. All the bodies at last were recovered, and tenderly bore them away. There was many a heartache that evening, many a teardrop was shed. We mourned for 6 true-hearted comrades and gazed at the forms of the dead. 5 poor widows mourn for their husbands. A dear mother weeps for their son. 10 children have now lost their father. True heroes were they, every one. Alas, we cannot stay suffering. No tongue can such sorrow reveal. But our sympathy still can we give them. Let me know their sad losses we feel. A fund's being raised to assist them. Let the giving be generous and free. Inasmuch as ye succour my children, the Lord says, ye did it for me. May God bless the crews of the lifeboats that are stationed all around Britain's shore. Be with them and keep them in safety when out midst the hurricane's roar. Be a friend to the widows and orphans. Lead them safe to the home of the blessed, where the wild sea shall cease all its raging, and the weary at last are at rest.
How wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I mean, wow. I sort of briefly read through that because you sent it to me prior to this evening, but just listening to someone else read it, I think brings it home. And actually, we, my group, we do a song called "The Arbroath Tragedy," which is based on a real life tragedy in Arbroath in 1953. And there was a folk musician called Carl Fred Dallas, and he wrote this song. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. And whenever we do it, we always sort of dedicate to anyone who puts their lives in danger for others, but particularly RNLI crew. And it's always seems to be a really emotional moment for people listening to it, because it just reminds them of the fact that you go out on a ship. Doesn't matter if it was 1899 you're rowing, or whether you've got a 12 horsepower boat right now, you're putting yourself at the mercy of the sea to help other people. So I know we've not been the first people to say this, but saint by name and saint by nature, but we want to say thank you for not just joining us, but thank you as well for everything you do. And there's a couple of comments that I'm going to go to, actually, because first one is from a girl called Carly Franklin. Love this. Known about Aldborough RNLI and listening to the poem, I've learned a lot that I didn't know. Cool. Tracy Barner says, thanks, great poem, Steve. From Kev, take care, shipmates. Linda Boyce says, such a poignant poem. Thank you, Steve, and safe voyage as always. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, lovely.
Maggie Clark says, brave men, lifeboat men. We've got a young nephew who is a volunteer for the Lowestoft lifeboat. How fantastic, Maggie.
20 miles away.
Yeah. So how many how well represented is, I mean, how sort of spaced out are the lifeboats? We know the nearest ones to us, but across Norfolk and Suffolk, I guess do you? Yeah,
so we're good. I mean, it goes on where you are geographically to what type of boat you have. So yeah, my flank stations here are to the south. I've got Harwich, which by sea is 20 miles. To the north, I've got Southwold, which is 9 miles, and then Lowestoft, which is 20 miles. And then you've got Galston, 25 miles. So yeah, and then you'll get around to North Norfolk with Sheringham and Cromer and Hunstanton and all that. So we're good coverage, but it's a for sailors or for shipping in general, it's quite a bleak coastline because there's not many places to come into. So in the middle here, Southwold, Lowestoft, Aldborough, there's nowhere to go. So it's quite a bleak place. But,
Also, am I right in saying also that the North Sea is quite a notoriously shallow and can be quite tempestuous as a result, stretch of sea?
Yeah, because it's generally quite shallow. So you don't need a huge amount of wind or sea run to make the seas quite steep, because there's no dissipation because the water is shallow. So when it's windy, the energy of the sea, if you like, can only go upwards because it can't go down because it's so shallow. So when you go to Scotland, Cornwall, either end, where you've got hundreds of feet of water. There's more. The seas can be much bigger, but they're further apart.
Yeah.
It's because they've got dissipation in the depth of water. So yeah, and it can be really quite nasty in the North Sea, as you know. So yeah.
Well, Steve, I want to say thanks once again. And will you pass our best on to James? And if we're down your neck of the woods, which we will be before too long, I'll take you up on finding out about what tag means. But thanks once again, and and we'll hope to see you soon. Lovely.
Thank you very much. All right. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
So that was Steve Saint, or Steve Tag Saint. We didn't find out what tag meant. And he is coxswain of Aldborough RNLI. I want to say thank you, big thank you for coming on, not just to talk about what he does as coxswain and what the crew do, but also about the Aldborough lifeboat disaster of 1899 and the reason that their crew not just wear acorns, but have acorns on board the ship. And we're going to share a link in the comments with further information about that, which is on the Aldborough RNLI website. But anyway, look, I'm going to do a song now. We haven't got too much longer actually, but I'm going to do a song. This is a whaling song. So as you'd expect from a whaling song, it's pretty bleak, minor keys through most of it. And I learned this from the Watersons. This never gets old, but I never learned it direct from them. I just picked it up on YouTube or on archive site. But it's a wonderful song. It's called "The Bonnie Ship, the Diamond." Real ship, and certainly the industry was real. So no, this is not in our repertoire. So I've got no lyrics to share on this. But you can pick it up. The chorus goes, and it's "Cheer up, me lads, let your hearts never fail. For the bonny ship, the diamond, goes a fishing for the whale," or some versions goes a hunting for the whale. So the Watersons sang fishing, and that's what we do. Diamond is a ship, my lads, for the Davis Strait she's bound, and the key it is all garnished with bonny lasses round. Captain Thompson gives the order to sail the ocean wide, where the sun it never sets, me lads, no darkness dims the sky. And it's cheer up, me lads, let your hearts never fail, for the bonny ship, the diamond, goes a fishing for the whale. Along the quays of Peterhead the lassies stand around, the shawls all pulled about them and their salt is running down. Now don't you weep, my bonny lass, though you be left behind, for the rose will bloom on Greenland's ice before we change our mind. And it's cheer up, me lads, let your hearts never fail, for the bonny ship, the diamond, goes a fishing for the whale. His health to the Resolution, likewise Eliza Swan, is a health to the Battle of Montrose and the Diamond Ship of Fame. We wear the trousers of the white, the jackets of the blue. When we return to Peterhead, we'll have sweethearts anew. And it's cheer up, me lads, let your hearts never fail, for the bonny ship, the diamond, goes a fishing for the whale. The sun will shine both day and night when the whaling lads come home, in a ship that's full of oil, my boys, and money to our name. We'll make cradles all to rock and the blankets all to tear, and every lass in honey Peterhead sing hush-a-bye, my dear. And it's cheer up, me lads, let your hearts never fail, for the bonny ship, the diamond, goes a fishing for the whale. It's cheer up, me lads, let your hearts never fail, for the bonny ship, the diamond, goes a fishing for the whale. And it's cheer up, me lads, let your hearts never fail, for the bonny ship, the diamond, goes a fishing for the whale. There you go. So the bonny ship, the diamond, lovely song. Bleak, as they all are. The Wailing songs are all bleak through and through. Can't do anything about that, but certainly catchy enough that you could join in if you want to. And go check out some versions of that. The version we know is by the Watersons, but there's a version by Stan Hugel, there's a version by Bert Lloyd, there's a version by Bob Roberts, there's a version by Harry Cox, there's a version by Ewan McCall, and everyone else, I'm sure. Carol Fisher says, have we sung this with the boys? I seem to remember singing the chorus before. Do you know what, Carol? I think we've done it as like a call and repeat on the chorus in a physical rehearsal. Maggie Clark, clap, clap, clap. Thank you very much. Marion Bishop, well sung, Stephen. Thank you very much. I'm going to share one now. One other one that Paul had prepared, kind of heading towards the end of the evening. But, and my goodness, how the rain is getting up, at least where I am. I'm going to share one more from Paul, and that is Haul Away Joe. So, Paul, as you know, if you've been tuning in all night, is not with us either end of the broadcast. But he did go to the bother of recording a couple of songs to play. One of them is Haul Away Joe, and I'm going to play it now. I'll just share the screen in, and it goes like this. Do you know what? I don't think the audio is coming over, is it? Someone could let me know quickly if any audio came over there. I don't think it did. Let's see what I can do about that. Hey, there's nothing like technology, is there? Let's try again. No. Well, in that case, I'm not going to share with you Paul's version of Haul Away Joe. I'm just going to finish then with the last song that I was going to. No audio, no sound here. No. Okay, thanks for letting me know quickly. I'm going to share with you. This is a lovely, lovely song, and it's not in our repertoire. It's not a sea shanty. It's actually a song that kind of concerns itself more with the difficulties that the rural ploughboys face. And it's a song called, it's known under a few titles: Lovely Molly, Dear Molly, or I Once Was a Ploughboy. And it's in a lovely, quaint waltz timing. I'm just going to sing it a cappella. I once was a ploughboy, but a soldier I'm now. I courted wee Molly as I followed the plough. I courted wee Molly at the age of 16. But now I must leave her for to serve James my king. Oh, Molly, lovely Molly, I delight in your charms, and as many the night I have laid in your arms. But if ever I return, it will be in the spring, where the mavis and the turtle dove and the nightingale sing. You can go to the market, you can go to the fair, you can go to the church and meet your love there. But if anyone loved you as much as I do, then I won't stop your marriage. So farewell and adieu. Oh, Molly, lovely Molly, I delight in your charms, and as many the night I have laid in your arms. But if ever I return, it will be in the spring, where the mavis and the turtle dove and the nightingale sing. I once was a ploughboy, but a soldier I'm now. I courted wee Molly as I followed the plough. I courted lovely Molly at the age of 16, but now I must leave her for to save James my king. Oh, Molly, 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 I delight in your charms, and as many the night I have laid in your arms. But if ever I return, will be in the spring, with the mavis and the turtle dove and the nightingale sing. Yeah, lovely song. A tiny bit disjointed for me in lyrically, at least. But what we're missing is the fact that he's the guy has gone to war to serve James the King. When he comes back, Molly, who he was with at the age of 16, has moved on, assuming that he died in war, and he's just said to her, I'll leave you to it. So beautiful, beautiful song. Now I'm going to do a couple of comments, and then I think we're going to draw it to a close for tonight. Michelle Gallagher, beautiful song. Stephen, thank you. Yeah, not thank you. I didn't write it, but it is a lovely, lovely song. And Carly says the same, lovely song. Kasia in Poland, Kasia Marcinkowska, I love Lovely Molly too. You're giving me gift after gift tonight. Marion Bichette, thanks for the music, Stephen. And I say thank you. Maggie Clark, 3 claps there. Thank you very much. And then Martha says, thanks for your solo evening. Well, thank you, Martha. Thank you very much. And then the other thing, I'm looking for the comment now. Let's find it. Yeah. Oh, Jackie Draper. Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you, Jackie, for the reminder. Thanks to all who took part tonight and People's Health Trust. Yeah, so thank you firstly to Kev, our resident storyteller, and for being a wonderful poet as well, and writing the poem that we've put music to, which is now in our repertoire, The Call of the Sea. If you missed it, you can watch the session again. And a reminder that Wednesday, the 9th of September in Lowestoft, he is doing a socially distanced Scores tour. Normally he does these for us once or twice a year, and they're very, very popular. We can strictly only have 15 people, so if you would like to come along, you must message the Rogue Shanty Chorus Facebook page. Don't text, don't ring, don't comment on here. Just let us know, because I'm quite sure those 15 places will go soon. So that's Wednesday, the 9th of September, 7 p.m. for a 7:15 start. Anyway, but since you've mentioned it, Jackie, we want to say thank you to our funders, and if I remove Jackie's comment, you'll see them. And the funders are the People's Health Trust. They fund the Shanty Chorus currently, along with the wider project, and they've allowed us to continue connecting with people online. So while you continue connecting, I think we'll continue live streaming. But our other guest, of course, more recently was Steve Tag Saint, Aldborough RNLI Coxon, all-round good egg, and he told the wonderful or not the wonderful, the tragic story of the Aldborough lifeboat disaster of 1899, accompanied with their own story of the Aldborough Acorns, and a beautiful poem. So definitely go back and check that out if you haven't. A couple of people saying, don't forget the word. I won't forget the word, as if I would ever forget the word. So what is the word? If you've joined late, you won't know, but the word is brooch. and that's from Edward Moore's book here, Suffolk Words and Phrases, and this is our physical version. And we just pick at random a word that, or we pick a word that we know is not in common usage. So let me tell you what broach means. So broach means the bent and twisted and pointed piece of hazel, willow, or other flexible young twig with which thatchers fix the straw on the roofs of houses, stacks, barns, etc. So there you go. That's what it means over in Suffolk. Broach is the kind of the kind of material they would use to thatch a roof. And in fact, there's a cottage 2 doors down currently being rethatched right now in my village. So I wonder if they're using broach there. I'll do a few more comments, and I'm going to say goodnight and draw it to a close. Linda Boyce, another lovely evening of entertainment, thank you. Wendy Duncan, hello Wendy, another lovely evening, thank you. Sally Harmon, thanks for holding the fort all by yourself. I'm fine doing it, Sally. It's just when technology throws us curveballs, I don't like it, but we got through. Carol Fisher says thank you. Ben Southern, lovely evening, thank you, Stephen. Janice Marjoram, thank you. Sue Day, word meaning. There's another person just assuming I draw to a close and forget the words. Anyway, look, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. All the comments are brilliant, because we obviously know there are several people watching, but it's great to know what you think and whether you have any questions, and certainly if there's things that you appreciate, we like to know about it too. So just one more reminder, Kev's Scores Tour, Wednesday the 9th of September. Next Monday we're here with Ivan for his history sessions, which will be episode 15, amazingly. We're here next Tuesday for episode 24 of the Shanty Sessions live stream. And I guess we hope that before too long, we might be able to kind of do some kind of normal rehearsal or amended, socially distanced rehearsal. We'll keep you up to speed about that. But just one more time, just want to say thank you for tuning in, and see you next week. And we'll be here with Paul, hopefully. Maybe even from the same house. We're in the same bubble, so we might even be broadcasting from the same place. We'll see. But anyway, good night. Thank you very much, and see you next week. Thank you.